My name is Dale Ward, and I wrote a 30,000-word thesis about how Michael Myers from the Halloween movies is a Zen master. I called it Zen and the Art of Halloween, an analysis of Zen master Michael Myers. This video is chapter 8 of my thesis, and these are some of my Halloween paintings that will be appearing in the background. So let's get into chapter 8, which is titled Zen Monk Michael Myers. To briefly lighten things up, my 8th proof of Michael Myers being a Zen master is that he does many things that Zen monks do. For instance, Buddhist monks spend all of their time wearing traditional robes called kashaya in Sanskrit or Kesa in Japanese, which symbolize simplicity and detachment from worldly materialism. Similarly, the Shape spends all of his time wearing a blood-stained Kesa, also known as mechanic's coveralls, clearly displaying his alignment with worldly detachment and minimalistic simplicity. On top of that, a proper Zen Kesa is made out of recycled materials that have been used and/or discarded. And the boogeyman wears used coveralls that a mechanic wore but can no longer use. Because Michael killed the mechanic. Moreover, Myers spent many years wearing an even simpler Kesa, the Smith's Grove Sanitarium hospital gown. Which is ironic because the other function of a Buddhist Kesa is to represent the commitment of a monk. And Michael's hospital gown is a literal display of his commitment. In a time when most people are obsessed with wealth, fame, and superficial materialism, we need Zen masters like the boogeyman to tear us away from such follies and force us to face the fact that many of us would benefit from becoming more minimalistic and monastic. In this regard, Michael Myers is the shape of minimalism. Another short comparison between Michael Myers and other minimalist Zen monks is that he spends most of his time in monasteries. The boogeyman's first monastery was the house that he lived in until he was 6 years old, which has been dubbed the Myers House by everyone in Haddonfield. Then, after leaving home life behind, as every monk does, Michael's next monastery was the Smith's Grove Sanitarium, in which he lived for 15 years. Or 55 years, according to one of the Halloween legends. It's also worth noting that when the Shape escapes the Smith's Grove Monastery, he goes straight to the Myers Monastery. In other words, the boogeyman has spent all of his life either living in a monastery or traveling from one monastery to another, which is exactly what Buddhist monks do. A Zen monk will often spend his or her whole life traveling from monastery to monastery on pilgrimages called Angya in Japanese, which translates literally as to go on foot. Angya is exactly what Michael Myers does. The Shape is a traveling monk and master who teaches kills while he is walking on his path. Moreover, his teachings, killings, have made him an outcast of society, much like other monks. Most monks are outcasts like Master Michael Myers because they live outside normal human civilizations and societies to signify that they no longer play the game of the average person's lifestyle. In this way, Zen monks forego luxuries so they can focus on pursuing the path of truth, enlightenment, and the void. Whereas the boogeyman pursues people. Victims! Furthermore, the non-players of society often frighten the average person because they point out that the game of civilization is neither obligatory nor serious, which is another reason why people fear the Shape. He does not conform, he kills. Just like other monks, the boogeyman does not care about our ego-based behaviors and rules of society. In other words, the Shape follows people, not laws. And for that, he is labeled psychotic. Maybe Master Michael Myers' multiple murder victims have something to do with that label too, but it's also because killing is against the rules of our game. In other words, to kill is to not behave properly. Therein lies another Zen lesson from the Shape. Michael's killings teach us that our laws and social norms cannot stop the boogeyman from killing us. Because although our laws are very useful, the Shape shows us that they aren't physically real in the same way that our egos aren't physically real. And lesson from the Shape. In other words, and through this, furthermore, the problem is that because he is unattached to all the Kesa is to represent the an even simpler Kesa, the Smith Groves. He goes straight to the Myers Monastery. Cannot stop the boogeyman from killing. Laurie Strode's shotgun. That is very Zen. The boogeyman. Furthermore, the Shape shows that no matter where quote, that it's even a Zen monks forego luxuries so they can fuck. Are there any special instructions? Are there any special instructions? Huh? Are there? Ooh. Oh, doctor.